Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast with another exclusive for you. Just breaking down here on the broadcast. We're going through the Raiders position groups, and today we're going to talk about the safety. Now, last year, the Raiders on their initial 53-man roster, carried four safeties. I think that's what they're going to do again this year. We're going to go over originally the leading four, who I think will, if they were doing the 53-man roster today, who I believe those gentlemen would be, and then we'll talk about the other three as well. Let's start with the guy that everybody knows how much I like. I think he is a burgeoning star. I like literally every single thing about his game, but if there's one thing I like more than anything, it's that he does not repeat mistakes. This coaching staff loves the fact that he doesn't repeat mistakes. He takes coaching extremely well. He internalizes it, he takes it, he goes back and watches film to make sure he can identify exactly why he did what he did, and then he corrects it by developing the muscle memory, because what happens is you're going to play the way you practice. If you practice lazily with bad technique, you're going to play that way because it's just muscle memory. And this guy does not allow himself that, doesn't allow himself any opportunity to fail. Max Crosby is the standard, the gold standard of work on this team, but this guy mimics it, and he is one. When you talk to teammates about him, his name comes up about how hard he works, and that's Isaiah Pola-Mao. You guys know that I love everything about IPM's game. I like the vision. I like his ability for quick analysis. He does not have to think. Now, I'm going to explain something, because when you say that, people who are not close to the game every single day think that you're saying somebody is stupid, and there's nothing. If you met IPM, you'd expect him to be a doctor. That's just the way he is. He's super intelligent. But what happens is you play the game. If you think back when you started driver's training and how careful you were. I remember right after I started taking driver's training, my mom and I went on a trip. It was 3 states. We drove it. And we got there and she literally said to me, "You're driving me crazy. You got to sit in the back seat and take a nap on the way home." I go, "Why?" Because she's like, "You're telling me I didn't brake 150 feet in front, whatever, stop." Well, now when you drive, it's just muscle memory. It's instinct. I don't even think about driving anymore. My point is, when you play this game and you pay attention to it, you want to understand it, practice, watch film, and do so much that when you get in the game, it's muscle memory. You're not thinking, because you've already done all of your thinking. And so it's not a slam on IPM in any way. He's super smart kid, but it's his will to prepare. I've shared this with you before. Bobby Knight, the legendary college basketball coach, once he and I were talking about winners, and I made the comment to him, what are some things that you look for when you're really trying to find out, does this kid have got it? Is he a winner? You know, how do you know this kid's just addicted to winning? And Bobby said to me, Bobby Knight, he said, it's not the will to win. Everybody wants to win. He goes, you're playing checkers with your girlfriend and you want to beat her. He goes, whatever, you're playing cards, you're out hunting, you want to kill the most rabbits, pheasants, whatever. He said, so what I look for is the will to prepare to win. And I'll never forget this, but he said to me, I'd rather go watch the kid in practice than watch him in a game. If he's good enough for me to go watch him in practice, we already know what he can do in a game. And is his will there to prepare to win? Now, to the best of my knowledge, I've not met IPM's family. I may have, because I've met so many and I don't remember it. So if that's the case, I do apologize. But this kid is a testimony to his family, just his character as a human and his work ethic. He has worked hard to turn himself into a burgeoning star in the National Football League. Uh, Patrick Graham does not like him. He loves him. And his play, allowed them to let a Marcus Epps go and to not be super sad about Trayvon Merrick. They didn't want to lose Trayvon. I'm not rewriting history. They didn't want to lose him, but at the price that he was paid, it was not wise. And we'll get into that more in a minute. But IPM gets the extension. This kid is a burgeoning star. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in the airport the other day, and I don't remember where I was at. I think I was in Dallas. I may have been in Miami, or it could have been in Philly, but I was in one of those airports because I've been in so many lately. But I was in an airport. Now that I think about it, it no, I just don't remember. But a person comes up to me and says, "Hey, Hondo, how are you?" They're a big Raider fan. He said, "My son wants a jersey." I said, "Oh, cool." And he goes, "Any recommendations?" I said, "Well, a Max Crosby jersey is always a great jersey." Um, I go, "Brock Bowers after his, first year, that'd be a good jersey." He goes, "I want to get him one of maybe a guy that's coming, so he has it when the guy really steps on the scene." I said, "Boom, IPM." I said, "There's a lot of really good young players on this football team, but I said, IPM, I said, on the field, off the field, just a peach of a human. And he's a really good football player." Now, JPJ is in that class, and there are a bunch of others. But I'm just saying, he asked for a guy that maybe a lot of people don't know about. People know about JPJ and others. I said, IPM. And this kid, I think, has potential to become a Pro Bowl player. I don't think he's there as we sit here. Well, we know he's not because he didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. But I think he's a guy on that cusp. And because of that work ethic, he's going to work his way there. I don't have enough good to say about IPM. And I know other teams have a lot of good to say about him as well. I have a friend whose team, checked him out when he was coming out, and they said to me after they watched him, and so they were watching film of the Raiders last year because they were going to play somebody the Raiders had played, and the guy mentioned to Shannon and I about Isaiah Pola-Mao. He goes, "Man, that kid has really blossomed." And I said, "Yeah, he really has." He goes, "Man, that guy's a testimony to Patrick Graham and his staff." He goes, "That kid just sticks out on film." That's other people at other teams. So that tells you about IPM. And some guys are born with incredible God-given talent and don't have a lot of work ethic. So football becomes easy for them and they take it for granted. Then there are some guys that don't have as much athletic talent but have a will, and they will themselves to be great. I'm going to say something that is probably going to be controversial, and it's not meant to be. It's a complete compliment. I had a former University of Michigan coach say to me, it was on staff, who loves Tom Brady, loves him, doesn't like him, loves him, who said to me, Tom Brady was never the most talented quarterback, but Tom Brady was always the hardest working quarterback. And he told me that he uses um, Tom Brady as a testimony to young players who maybe aren't as talented. Well, neither was Tom Brady, but he willed himself. That is an IPM. I do not have enough good to say about IPM, and I am a strong believer in his game. Next is Jeremy Chin. Now, I want to talk to you about Chin for a moment. I really like Chin a lot, and I was flabbergasted when Trayvon Merrick got the offer he got. He got an offer that you really only expect from a team that feels like, okay, we are a safety away from being a Super Bowl contender. It was just a flabbergasting offer. Good for him, by the way. And in case any of you think I am the guy over here ripping that, I am a free market capitalist, and I absolutely support, love, and enjoy when anybody prospers. I I take joy in that. I learned a really hard lesson when I was a teenage boy on that. It had to do with my brother Greg, by the way. But I learned a really difficult lesson, and my father, who was a tremendous dad, really corrected me immediately, and it was a great lesson. One of the best. He gave me so many great lessons, but it was a great lesson. And I am a cheerleader for people. I want everybody to do good. You know, the people that I compete with who are other beat writers, I want them to do well. It, it doesn't mean Hondo's failed. I want them to, first of all, I know them all. I like them. I know that, you know, they're good family guys, or some of them are single, but good men who come from good families. I want them to prosper. I want them to do well. I care about them as people. I don't know any of you, and every day when Shannon and I pray for you guys, we pray for Raider Nation, and we thank God for the privilege of being a beat writer that serves you. We pray and ask God for your prosperity and for your lives, that the God's blessing will be on them. I enjoy that. So I'm not angry. I mean, I wasn't, when I say flabbergasted, like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. He obviously deserves it. Somebody's willing to pay him. I just could not believe the dollars. And let me tell you, multiple teams around the NFL were like, "What?" Uh, they couldn't believe it. So if you had said to me going into to free agency, you can have Jeremy Chin or Trayvon Merrick, I'm going to take Trayvon Merrick. So I want to be clear about that. I'm not rewriting history. But if you said to me, "Here's the dollars, and you're the GM, Hondo. Here are the dollars that Merrick's going to get, and here's what you can pay for Chin," I'm taking Chin every day of the week. I do not think it's a massive drop off at all. In fact, I think Chin brings a little bit of versatility that Merrick didn't. And at the price the Raiders got him, they stole Chin. And there's your two starting safeties right there, IPM and Jeremy Chin, and they're good. And I don't think they're the best safety combo in the NFL, but I got them in the seven, top seven. They're that good. Now, where you start getting in trouble with the Raiders is depth. Safety depth is brutal. Now, there's some young guys with a lot of promise, but could you, should yous, and would yous don't cut it in the NFL. Proof of the pudding's in the eating. You got to go out there and eat. You got to go out there and produce. And let's talk about that. Uh, if I had to pick the next guy that I expect to make the roster, it's going to be Lonnie Johnson. Comes over as a free agent. Now, I'm going to be very blunt with you about Lonnie. You will not find anybody in the NFL with a bad word to say about this gentleman as a person, but he has underproduced as a safety, been a terrific special teamer, but is underproduced as a safety. However, if you're going to be a backup safety in the NFL, you got to produce on special teams. And he's not just a good special teamer, he's a very elite special teams player. So this was a really good get by the Raiders. You got some young guys that are going to push them for that spot. I think if I had to predict today, if I was doing my 53-man projection today, he'd be on the roster. But he's a guy these young bucks can push. And he's got an instinct. He's great in the locker room. He's no problem whatsoever. It's why he stayed in the league. Everybody thinks the only guys who stick around in the league are superstars. Okay, well, look at Brian Hoyer and Drew Stanton, two gentlemen that I'm very close friends with, not partial friends, legitimate close friends. I don't think it's unfair, and I know that both will be aware of what I say. Neither one was a superstar in the NFL. They got jewelry and hardware, made a lot of money, and the fact that they were on a roster as an NFL quarterback means they were a great player, but neither was a superstar. So why do you stay around? You're a great teammate. You help people. You do all of the intangibles. Okay. That's Lonnie Johnson. But he's so good on special teams that he's almost an insurance policy. All right. He's never really produced as a safety when given that go get him. He plays it. He's a durable backup, but he's never really been him. Okay. Fair. But he's a good, solid backup with special teams, and he's an insurance policy if one of these young guys don't beat him out. So for the right now, I would project him on the 53, but certainly, whereas Chin and IPM are solid locks, he is not. He is beatable on the roster spot. If I had to pick the next guy to make the roster, and remember, I try to go through these in order of where I think their position safety is, not safety as in playing safety, but the security of a roster spot. Two guys locked in. They're not going anywhere. I think Lonnie's not locked in, but certainly secure. Beatable. The next guy has the edge because he made the 53 man last year. But to say that his career so far has not been disappointing would be unfair because it has been. He's been unable to get to a place of constant contribution, of he hasn't been really able to put anything out there that says, look, I belong. Now he's entering his money year. So you give him a mulligan on those. But this is Chris Smith. Now we know Chris Smith can play football. We know that Chris Smith, and I say we, me, is a tremendous human being. Georgia doesn't win at least one of their national titles under Kirby Smart without him. He's smart and was selected to really be a Marcus Epps replacement. Huge football IQ like Epps. They thought he'd be moving guys around, putting them in position. And 2-2 has not equaled 4 with Smith in the National Football League as of now. Okay. I have not given up on Smith. If this year is like previous years, I will. And it's not giving up on the person. Great kid. But this is his prove it year now. And there's so much talent there and so much proven at a high level at Georgia. I just don't think you can bet against this kid. I can understand why people are like, "Oh my God, what's going on? He's already been here." I get all that. I get it. Duly noted, and quite frankly, germane. But I haven't given up on Smith. There's just too much there. There's too much there. And he just brings a lot of football intangibles that I would say to you, those intangibles make him. I just think he's gonna. If I had to pick the 53 man today, I'd put him at 4. I'd put him at 4. I think he's got a shot, and I haven't given up on him. There's just too many intangibles there. Talking about the football IQ, what he's done at Georgia. I understand some of why he has not produced at the NFL level, but this is the year he's got to. He's got to. I have a very good friend who had a son with a ton of potential. And finally, he sits the kid down at 26 and said, I have done all that I can do for you now. And he didn't helicopter dad him and he didn't baby him at all. But he said to his son, you got to prove it now. You can't go through life on potential. Chris Smith has a ton of potential. He's already proven a lot of it at a high level at Georgia. Now it's his turn to do it here, but I'm going to share one thing with you about Chris Smith. And somebody from Georgia shared this with me, and I really respect this person, so I respect what they said to me. Every single time his back's been up against the wall, he's proven it. So I would hold steady. Raider Nation, I don't think it's time to give up on that kid. Let's just wait and see. But I'm going to watch him close. And as you saw today, I'm not afraid to be critical. You could be critical and not be attacking of a person's character because it's not a character issue with Chris. It's a production issue. The guy that's right behind Chris and pushing him, and quite frankly, I think could beat Chris or Lonnie. Wouldn't surprise me if he beat either one. I'm all in on this guy. I am all in on this guy. I like this guy. I like him as a human. I like him as a player. All the accolades from the Air Force Academy, one of our American heroes. God bless our military. Man, I appreciate all you in our military. God bless each and every one of you, former, current, or if you're a youngster thinking about joining it. What a great way to grow up than to serve the greatest nation in the earth. God bless all of our warriors who do this. No matter the color, the creed, the religion, they just say, listen, I'm going to go serve America. God bless every one of you. I want you to know, Shannon, I pray for you every single day. And if you've already served, we thank God for your service. And if you're serving, we pray and ask God for your protection. And if you're thinking about joining, we thank God for your willingness. I go to work and my kid worries if I'm going to get a paper cut. Our warriors go to work and their family worry, are they going to die? God bless you. Same with our police officers and firefighters. God bless every one of you. Trey Taylor. Raiders really stole him in the draft last year. And last year was a disappointment, but it was disappointment for, it was an adjustment. So when I say it's a disappointment, it's not a disappointment because of character or work ethic. And he's just got to work hard, which is never a question with him. Never. That guy is a hard worker. But he's got to stay healthy, and I expect him to produce. I would not be shocked if he beat out Lonnie Johnson. Again, I'm gonna believe in Chris. Okay. I wouldn't be shocked if he beat out Chris and Lonnie stayed on the roster. But I am all on team Trey Taylor. I believe in him. And he is singularly focused. And he's a hard worker. That guy really early, especially before he kind of hit his rough patch, that kid impressed some people with some work ethic. And he's super smart. I remember one teammate, I asked him last year, what do you think of Taylor? He said, man, that dude is smart. I go, really? And he goes, yeah. He's talking about something. I looked at him, like, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, yeah, reading the tackle. And, he's back in a safety position, but he's talking about looking for tells on tackles. Pretty good stuff. In fact, one thing that he identified on one of the Raiders tackles got to the coaching staff. So he's this kid's got a brain to go along with that physical body, and he is a heat-seeking missile. He's from the Air Force, man, so he's not afraid of combat, and he'll just go in there and launch himself. He is a safety who is very comfortable with coming up and just saying, "Bam!" You watch Trey Taylor, man. He is a thumper. This guy, he will totally come up and be Mr. Physicality. But then he gets to the NFL, and that's the name of the game here. That's why they liked him. But it's an adjustment. Got to stay healthy. But Trey Taylor's a guy. I am waving the Trey Taylor flag here. I believe in this kid, but it's going to be an adjustment, and he's got to have a big offseason, make a statement, and I for sure think he'll, if he doesn't make the roster, then I think he makes the practice squad, but it still develops. But this guy has a place in the National Football League. He's got a place there. Then I want to talk to you about a kid that I I really like him just watching the film. I don't know him as a person, so I don't want to pretend that I do. Uh, but this young man played at Notre Dame, Thomas Harper. He intrigues them a little bit. I talked about guys that are marginal on the roster or guys that are, maybe on the bubble. They may be, you don't find like IPM does so much right. Jeremy Chin, so much right. It's why they're locks. Okay. You get past those two, everybody's got warts. Some with Trey Taylor, youth. Some of it with Chris Smith, he's got all the pieces. Now he has to put it all together. Same way here with Thomas Harper. This guy he intrigues this staff. He needs to have big OTAs, big mandatory mini camp, and then come into training camp and get a fast start. I'm going to be watching him super, super close. Super close. But he's just got that. He just got enough there that you're like, yeah, there's a little bit of it there. A little bit of it. A little bit of something. Just something there that says, that guy's a football player now. Hey, he's got, he just, he's not polished. He's not an IPM or a chin. But he's got a little something. Needs to be developed, but he's got something. That's Thomas Harper. And then the last kid I want to talk to, making sure I talked about everybody. I did. The last one I talked about is Hudson Clark out of Arkansas. He's a UDFA. Now, if you watched my podcast about him after the UDFAs, I talked about him, and I talked to several teams about all the UDFAs. He is the only one, he is the safety out of Arkansas that one team I talked to had a draftable grade on him. Now, this is a guy I think is going to make the practice squad. Okay. Super smart. In fact, I told you one person even told me if the kid doesn't make it in the NFL, he's going to be a coach. His uncle, I think it's his grandfather, is a Hall of Fame coach in Arkansas. His dad actually works for I think it's the Dallas Cowboys. But this kid, super smart football player. Now, he's got a slight frame. He's got slight frame. Smart player, but he's a slight frame. A slight frame. One scout told me you put the film in, and he's the smartest player on the field when he plays. He's just super smart. He, again, slight frame, but an athletic build, decent length, but he's heady. He's an opportunistic defensive back who exhibits high quality instincts. He can recognize routes really quick. So where he's not as super athletic, because of his quick ability to identify stuff, bam, he's able to adjust. So he makes more plays than his athleticism would tell you. Has great awareness and has tremendous pre-snap and post-snap ability to read. Okay. Yeah, a lot of holes here. A lot of holes here. But I could see him going the IPM route and being developed because there's a lot to develop here. This young man, he's got some it. Not polished. I don't I I don't think he's ready for a 53 man. But you know what? An injury or two, and he really puts it all together because he is so smart. He may be able to sneak on and win a spot because he plays tremendous special teams. But there's just some stuff here with young Hudson Clark. Don't overlook Hudson Clark. If you do, he's a UDFA, but you do at your own peril. He's got some goods. He isn't the grocery store, but he's got some goods. He's got enough to earn the right to stick around. It's why he's here. Now the question is, what does he do with it? And again, one team had a draftable grade. We're going to see what he does. But I find him to be very, very fascinating. He's interesting to me. Again, I think he makes the practice squad. Don't think he makes the 53, but he could. But he's a guy that if he makes that practice squad, you keep your ears up. Pay attention. Wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden a year later or 2 years later you're talking about him the way we talk about IPM. All right, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless y'all. Happy Mother's Day. Let me just take a quick moment and say to my mom, Scoochie, that's what we call her, my dad's nickname for her. Been 11 years without my dad on May 1st, this just a couple of days ago. And mom, I know you watch the podcast every day. And I just want you to know something. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I get emails all the time. Man, you talk about your dad all the time. How come you don't talk about your mom? Well, my mother would tell you he talks about his dad because he's a son and he was fathered. That's not a slam on my mom. I love you, Scoochie, and I appreciate you. And you're incredibly valuable to your family. And I love you. And I'm grateful that if I don't get to have dad every day, I still get to have his girlfriend. And yes, she was my dad's wife, but he always used to say, "That's my honey, that's my girlfriend." And I know you miss dad too, but this Mother's Day, we celebrate dad every day, but we celebrate the man that made you a mom many, many times. And we're grateful for you, mama. And I appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate everybody. To all the moms, hope that each of you has a wonderful Mother's Day. If you don't have a relationship with your mother, today's a good day to forgive her. If you have a great relationship with your mom, make sure you're telling her you love her. Maybe you don't reach out to your mom as much as you should. Okay, just take a second, pick up the phone. Don't text. Pick up the phone. Just call her. If you have the ability, go see her. But connect with mom. Maybe some of you, your mom was a terrible mom. Terrible. You know what? Maybe today's a good day to forgive her. Because when you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean what they did was right. It means you give up your right to hold a grudge. And it actually brings freedom to you. Maybe some of you need to forgive mom. Doesn't mean that you're ever going to forget because you're not. Maybe some of you, you've been estranged from your mom a long time. This is a great time to pick up the phone and fix it. Fix it. All right. I love you, mom. To all you moms, God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.